All right. Hey, welcome to the Gopher CEO community. Thank you so much for stopping by again, and really appreciate everything that the community is starting to grow. The comments, the likes. Make sure to smash that like button today. We got a special guest and really someone that over the last year and a half or so, I've gotten a chance to kind of see from afar. I've broken bread with them and had a coffee with them. So it's exciting to have someone like this. And remember, the CEO project, this Gopher CEO project, is meeting CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs that are startups to 25 million in gross revenue, having fun listening to their ups and downs, marketing minds, operations, scaling, and so much more. So become the CEO of your life and learn from local and small business owners and entrepreneurs of what they're doing to succeed. So welcome to the show, Azlaan.
Glad to be here, man.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Thank you so much for making the time. I know that obviously, we just kind of talked off camera that you've got some really interesting dynamics this year. If anybody doesn't know, if you see this 2-3 years from now, it is 2020, and we're dealing with obviously the COVID craziness. But small business owner like Azlaan and advanced sports therapy, and what he does is so important for just bringing health back to the community and the people that he serves. So, Azlaan, we usually like to start with what's your background, who are you, and what led to obviously you starting your own business. So let's start with the background side of things.
Well, I am an immigrant. I came here about 20 years ago, and at that time I was just turning 20. The third day in, I believe, or second evening of my being here, I became very, very sick, and I couldn't put my finger on it as to what had made me sick. I was looking at the food that I'd been eating, and checking the production dates on the milk and the eggs, and everything was good. I was able to point it down to dairy within the third or the fourth day, I believe. And then when I went to go see a doctor about it, the doctor tells me that I was lactose intolerant. Mm. And I just, like I said, mentioned earlier, I'm an immigrant. I come from a third world country. I had been drinking milk straight from the udders. And that never made me ill. So when a doctor tells me that you're lactose intolerant, granted, I'm 20, I may not know much, but I know what lactose comes from or what it can be found in. So that was my first kind of moment of disbelief at what a doctor was saying. Normally, I've always looked up to doctors because obviously they're intelligent, they go to school, they have a lot of training. So when I mentioned that to the doctor just had a blank stare and no reply. And he's like, "Oh, maybe you can try lactose free." I'm like, here we go again with the lactose story. And that just doesn't make sense to me. My brother gave me a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And he's like, eat this and see if you still get sick. And I eat it. And sure enough, didn't get sick. I read the back of the pint, the cardboard, and it had mentioned a redundant or recombinant bovine growth hormone that they did not use. And once I started looking into that, I was like, okay, there's a lot to food in this country, apparently. Maybe I need to stay away from this hormone because this hormone makes you sick. And I don't know if I want hormones that don't belong in my body. That left a big mark on what I was going to put in my body from that day forward, right? Occasionally, if I would have milk, I'd be very careful with it, or I'd try to take it with, other nutrients to slow down that turmoil that I was putting myself through. So that little incident just stayed with me for, you could say it stayed with me until today, because I still share that story with everyone, right? This was 2000, November 29, 2000. That's when I came here to the States. And we all know 9 months after that, nine and a half months after that, September 11 happened. So my immigration paperwork got put on hold and got pushed back 5 years. That's how slow things were moving at that time. So I had no way of making money. I had no way of working for anyone because I did not have my work authorization. But I still had to check in with my immigration officers. And one of them said, you're not legally allowed to work for someone, but there's nothing keeping you from working for yourself. Essentially, what he was telling me that I just need to start a business, right? But how do you start a business without any money because you haven't been able to work? And you still got to pay rent. You still have to pay for your groceries. You got to chip in. I was living with my brother at first, so it was a little helpful. but right from the get-go, I was like, hey, what skill set do I have that I can turn into a business in the United States? Overseas, I was a sound engineer working for a radio station. So I said, maybe I can do sound for bands that are looking for somebody to do their sound, or I could become a DJ because I've been working for the radio as well. So I started renting equipment and started performing as a performing arts artist. So just DJing, setting up sound for small bands, and the money started coming in. You know, 6 months in, go back in, check with the immigration officer. He's like, "How are you surviving?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm really thankful to you for giving me the idea of starting my own business." He's like, "I didn't give you that idea. I just said you can't work for someone else." Obviously, he was being very, very kind, very, very informative, and that business just, when your heart's in something and you're not really working, all you're doing is surviving. You're putting everything out because you got to survive. Otherwise, you're going down. Or you could get sick. You could get kicked out of your apartment. You could, your family could be worried about you, and you don't want to be the cause of their worry, especially when they're so far away. So I took that business and just operated as a DJ for 5 years. That was essentially my first introduction to starting and running my own business, what it takes, what kind of equipment I need to acquire, and how can I lease it towards owning it, what kind of people I need to work with. And I've been blessed. I'm really thankful to God that He has brought people into my life that for the most part have been very, very helpful and genuine. And so I did that for 5 years before my work authorization came in. And I very, very happily took my first corporate America job. And here I was thinking, I'm a big shot, no college degree. I finished high school overseas, came here, tried to do college, but it was too expensive for an international student at that time. So I got my corporate job working as a bankruptcy consultant. And here I am making more money than entry-level attorneys. I've got clothing stipends, dining stipends, transportation stipends, the whole wazoo. Making 55 to 60K a year, again, without a college degree. The owner of that law firm had told me, it's your people skills. You've acquired these soft skills. That's what attracted him to me. He had seen me work somewhere apparently and left a card. And when I did decide to call him, he literally hired me on the spot and said, this is our package. This is what we're giving you. We'll start you off with this number. We'll get you up to 55, 60, whatever your goal may be. And he's like, you can continue to do whatever you do during your extra time. So continue to DJ. But that job, obviously gave me a taste of corporate America and what it drains out of a life. You're essentially exchanging time for money, right? We've all heard that in business. But at that time, here I am, 26, 27 years old, making that kind of money, living that lifestyle, occasionally getting a Maserati for a weekend, from the boss. You're like, yeah, you can take my car. It's okay. You performed well. Or, just going out and getting these expensive suits because you have to do consultations. But what was happening to me during that time, because it's such a sedentary job, was my body was breaking down on the inside. And one day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. On my way to work on the L, I just started sweating profusely, just sweat everywhere. I got nauseous, I got dizzy, I couldn't stand up, called in the office and said, hey, I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting some symptoms. They could be serious. So I'm going to go get myself checked into a doctor. Go to a doctor, get looked at. He doesn't find anything wrong. It's like, maybe you're just not getting enough sleep. Again, I instantly, my mind went back to the lactose doctor guy, right? Here's all these maybes again and no definites. I'm like, will you have a better idea if you run some tests? He's like, yeah, maybe. You run some tests, comes back with a printout of WebMD. I'm like, I could have done that at home, sweating profusely, symptoms and whatnot. No definites, no maybes, no, I did not get a genuine desire to help from, I did not get that vibe from the doctor. So that turned me off of mainstream doctors again. It was back and forth. I was stayed sick, started missing work, performance started going down. And I ended up at a chiropractor's office. And this lady was like, have you ever had an x-ray of your spine? Give me a little backstory. Same like you're asking me about my life. She asked me about my pain and asked for a backstory. It's like, I've been in some accidents. I've had this, had that. She orders the x-ray, does them right there, and then finds some things that were seriously wrong with my spine and how it could be. So she tried to help. She tried to do adjustments as chiropractors do, and then even she says, "Well, this area of your spine has been stuck apparently for longer than you think, and I can't get it to move right now. So go see a massage therapist, maybe get loosened up a little bit, and then we'll try again." That little edification for the massage therapist by the doctor was another thing that was weird. It was like, here's a doctor talking about someone else who could help me in that moment of time more than the doctor could, as opposed to, and maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Here, take these pills, or we can give you a shot, or we can give you a prescription. Sure enough, this was my first massage at age 28, I believe. I had not even encountered that word in my life before. It was like, go get a what? What is that? She's like, you've never gotten a massage before? I'm like, no, I don't know what that is. So sure enough, this lady works on me, and then I stand up, and it felt like somebody had taken off this ill-fitting jacket or ill-fitting sweater off of my body. Go into the doctor's office again. Sure enough, like butter, adjusts, and I walked out of that office pain-free for the first time in about 3 months.
Wow.
So that was another big marker on my mind, in the back of my head. And I said, hey, if I ever leave corporate America, this is something I want to do. Something along these lines. That little combination. And I'd also taken a part-time gig at GNC, the other giant that is no longer with us. I'd worked, as a supplement consultant for about 4 years, every now and then working and then training other salespeople. I learned about supplements because I had been sick. And while I was DJing and not really working during the weekdays, I'd spend my day in the library learning about American food practices. So that's the wonderful thing about this country, is that it can maybe not allow you to work. It can give you a really hard time, but it will never, never stop you from acquiring new skills and new education, right? The library is a wonderful place to be. So I learned everything about nutrition, supplementation during that time. And that's why I got that GNC gig super easily. Became one of their top performers for this franchise owner. So looked at their struggles, and like, look at this guy, runs his own business, he's living the life. But then the deliveries would come in, and then you had to do inventory. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this business. That just looks too stressful. I don't want to be in this situation either. So here I'm now weighing running my own healthcare, like health related supplement business, and being a bankruptcy consultant, corporate America. I'm like, I don't know if I like any of these options. So when that massage experience happened, it's like, I really like this. This lady came in, treated me, walked out, did not have to stay in the office. I'm like, and I paid her. Services rendered, money's paid. So, long story short, now became sick again, performance went down, and the company had to let me go. They're like, you're not just able to keep up with this. I'm like, yeah, I don't think this lifestyle is good for me. It's killing me. So sure enough, they let me go, but I'd been good enough for the company that they were nice enough to extend unemployment to me for a year and a half, I believe. And they said, hey, and that was 30 days before my first daughter was born. So they were like, well, we'll give you a COBRA letter just so you're protected. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll take the unemployment. So I sat at home for the first 2.5, 3 months, just enjoying my newborn. I'm like, hey, this is great. I'm getting a little bit of money in just to keep me afloat, and I can spend time with my newborn. I must have taken gazillions of pictures, obviously, like all parents do. And I'm pretty sure, I became a pretty good photographer, because like, hey, how come this other kid's photos look better than mine? And I got to do something. So again, that massage experience was knocking in the back of my head. I'm like, hey, that I really want to do that. Started Googling massage schools near me and whatnot. I came across a big name. I go there. It was too far from where I lived at the time, and the program was scattered, so it was taking too long for me to finish it. It was like, my unemployment's going to run out. I need a fast track program. So looked into some schools, went to the big one, and then the big one said, well, you should go here, but if you don't go here, definitely don't go to this one and this one and this one. I'm like, okay, what are your other recommendations? So somebody made a recommendation. I went to massage school, and this was 2009. And, graduated top of my class. Apparently I had a natural inkling for it. All those years of my mom asking me, can you squeeze this? Can you do that? Came in handy. So life was teaching me skills that I had no idea would come in, come into play that many years later. And all the teachers said that I had natural talent at finding these, problems in the body and going straight to them, almost intuitive. But I was essentially what I was relying on was acquired skill over the years,
Mm.
fine-tuned fingertips. And the teachers then recommended, because of how quickly I was picking things up, they were like, as soon as you get out of school, we recommend that you go take these advanced courses. Like most people wait until it's time to take their courses to get their continuing education credits. Your mind is sharp right now. You're in absorbing stage. Just go. Now, in our culture, when a teacher tells you something, it's like the word of your dad.
Hmm.
To us, they're spiritual fathers, right? So this is something.
Lost you there.
It was just a call coming in. So if it's somebody who's taught you in the past, if they're walking in front of you, you're taught not to cut them off. Walk behind, even if you're being late for something. That's how much respect a teacher is given in our culture. So all these teachers said, go here, go there, and I did. And I started working, I was working in the massage clinics of the world, like your Massage Envies, you might be familiar with that name. Other spas, day spas, just getting my hands on people, fine tuning my skills. And I don't know if I shared the story with you when we had coffee, was I actually fell asleep during a session in a spa. I was working and I fell asleep. It was so dry to me. I was like, I did not take all those advanced courses to do this all day long, you know?
Yeah.
So I called my teacher. I'm like, what did you do to me? And it's like, I was enjoying this work. Now I'm falling asleep on patients. My head could have hit this person. And they were like, well, obviously you want to do more clinical work and you want to do more advanced work. So why are you still working for someone else? And I'm like, well, because I don't have money to open my own, and I don't have support. Nobody is helping me. I asked friends and family, and they were like, yeah, no, we don't have that kind of money, because I'd only been shown one model of running a business: go big, go home, right? But I did not know that what go big meant at the time was go big up here, and not necessarily with bank accounts and numbers and like that. So 6 years, 7 years into the profession, I was given an opportunity to teach in the profession. And I was now teaching students that were twice as old as I am and young enough to be my youngest sibling. It was such a big, diverse student body. And some of them had been therapists for longer than I'd been living, you could say, right? As an adult. When they saw the skill set that I was kind of trying to pass on to them, every single one of them would say, how come you don't have your own clinic? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you've got a skill set that if you had your own clinic, people would come. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have money. Went back to that excuse, kept doing it. And then 2 years teaching, my contract was up. I had so much fun sharing skills. I'm like, what's the other way I can share skills? So I said, I'll just open a small office, nothing big. I need to start small. And whatever I've saved until now, I'll just put everything in. Now I was starting to think, during this time, I had taken on a couple of multi-level marketing gigs on the side, and then was getting some coaching from those mentors. Like, you have to invest in your business. And it just wasn't clicking in my head. I'm like, how do you invest money when you don't have money? And they're like, well, if you don't have money, you invest time. I'm like, I know, but if I invest time, I won't have time to go to work to make money. So they're like, well, you have to figure out what you can sacrifice. It was a complete tug of war.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe you could work third shift somewhere. I'm like, okay, well, I can sacrifice a little bit of my sleep. That's all right. So I took a third shift job somewhere, assembling computers at a big integration facility, getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep, with a child in the house, obviously, and running on energy drinks, not the best choice, and pizza, right? Because that was the only thing that was fast. I wasn't doing it because I enjoyed it. I was doing that because it was the quickest way to get some food into me. So here I am sleeping 2, 3 hours a day, working a full-time third shift job, trying to save the money while I was finishing up my teaching contract. So as soon as the teaching contract came to an end, I took a month off, just kind of looked at the big picture. I'm like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Going bouncing between job and job. And then my multi-level marketing coach said, it was like, well, you said the same thing that the attorney had said. You've got soft people skills or soft skills that cannot be taught in the universities of the world. What's keeping you? Is it fear? It's like, well, how's the fear of failure for the rest of your life? And that just another ton of breaks. Went into an office space, liked it, got it forward. So that was about 5 years ago, 4 years ago now. Yep. And within 6 months, everything that I had put into the office, God in his infinite wisdom says, your intention is genuine. You're doing it for your family. And all these clients that had worked, that had worked on working for other people somehow managed to find me on Google. Like, we'd been looking for you. We were not really comfortable coming to your house to get work done but now that you have your own space, we can't wait to get started on a program with you. Within 6 months, I was in the green. And that really changed how I look at business, making moves, not being afraid. I never thought that my average credit card spend would be $50,000. How it comes and how it gets paid off, I have no idea. Yeah, it's called tracking expenses. We have an idea. But how it started to happen and how it built up like that, it's been nothing but the grace of God. I put the time in, I put my effort in, continue to learn every new thing that my heart goes towards, and just continue to grow your knowledge base, right? In that field that you're passionate about. So today, I'm less than 10 years into the profession. And there are profession veterans out there, 20, 30-year-olds, that have heard of me at least, or that know about me and that know what I do. And to me, that's, I wouldn't say it makes you cocky. It makes me content that maybe this is a good pace of growth. But then I started reading self-help books and started meeting people like you. And I was like, maybe this pace isn't good enough. I need to step it up a little bit. So I started reaching out to people, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I do alternative therapy. I do this. You might not have heard of these protocols because I wrote these protocols. Go ahead, take a look at it. If you're looking for something different to add to your clinics, I'd be happy to come out there and teach it to you. Doing it, and just getting all kinds of negatives. This is not proven. There's no data. Like, no, I get it. It's new because I made it. Obviously, there's no data. But I'm willing to come and show it to you, and you see if it works. And if you like it, great. Then we can start building the data. But everybody was like, no, give us the data. It's like everybody just essentially wanted to be spoon-fed. So again, you go into that doubt and disbelief stage. And like, maybe this is not what the world needs. Maybe I need to mold myself to the world's requirements. Literally, I tried that for 2 weeks, and it just didn't stick. I'm like, no, I've been molded enough. I just need to find a block that needs my particular mold. Mm-hmm. That's it. Find that niche. So I kept hammering at it. You already know my family lives about 1,000 miles away from where I am. So, started to go out there and just speaking to gym owners, coaches, weightlifters, like, hey, I have this method that might be able to help you. When you have time, when you're not busy, at my cost, at my dime, I'll come over, I'll treat you. They're like, whoa, but you're in a different state. I'm like I said, it'll be my cost. You just tell me when, tell me where. I knew that it's my business. And the only way it's going to grow is if I'm the one who's worried about its growth, not others. Mm-hmm. Even you go through like, I'm giving this stuff away. How come nobody wants it? If nobody wants it, walk away from those nobodies. That's exactly what they are. They're nobodies, right? So kept hammering. Sure enough, persistence pays off. Started building traction. As soon as the first traction event happened in that, I don't say go out and start shaking hands with people now because of COVID. but still, there's a thing called a virtual handshake. You know, go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook. Just I'm like, hey, I'd love to speak to you. I'd love to pick your brain, and I'd love to give you what I'm doing. I just want to share some things with you. And for that, when I first starting out, going back a little bit, when I first started, I was like, it was all about impressing others. Hey, this is what my therapy can do, and this is so much better than the others, and da 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 da. Song and dance. It's like, yeah, people really don't care. They really don't care. And in that way, I'm kind of thankful that I'm not like those people, because I generally do care. Somebody wants to, somebody thinks that I can help them, and they reach out to me. I'm like, yeah, come to the office. It's fine. Come hang out. If this is something you want to do, great. I'm here to teach you. Education and knowledge is not someone's personal inheritance. I think it's meant to be shared, right? That's the only way humanity's going to grow. So I made that my mission somewhere along, helping people and fixing muscles and pains and aches. It literally, out of nowhere, one day I was like, I think the mission just became bigger than owning a clinic. It really is about spreading awareness and bringing about genuine smiles on people's faces when you meet them. Because every time we have a transaction of any kind, whether it's exchanging a greeting, helping someone, or not helping someone, not being able to help someone, the transaction itself needs to be pleasant, right? Maybe the outcome's not pleasant for one party or the other, or both, but the transaction itself needs to have this level of civility, humanity, compassion, care. And that's what set our clinic apart. People started seeing that when they would come in. I'm like, I don't know if this is within my skill set to be able to help you. We can try. And that gave me an idea as I'm working on this person. I'm like, we'll try. If it doesn't help you, my office will not charge you a dime. So I brought that Billy Mays type of, it works or it's free, into the modern business world. Like, hey, I think it should work. I don't think it definitely can't do you harm. You're already in pain. You've tried other things. Let's try this. So whenever I am uncertain about, whether something will work or not, but I'm still feeling somewhat positive, given that there are no red flags, I go ahead and proceed with, like, if it works, great. Can you move better? Perfect, great. If not, we never charge these people a dime. And we just give them some fluid, some water. I'm like, hey, thanks for coming by. Thanks for letting me learn you, learn your personality, learn your dysfunction. And thanks for letting me practice. And that's why we call it a medical practice. So yeah, we went a little off tangent there with all these, other stories, but talking about scaling, yeah, no funding. Everything's been word of mouth, referrals, and just faith. It's just sheer faith that's kept my business surviving and thriving. I make it an intention to thank God through our prayers, 5 times a day. We're Muslim by faith, so we try to pray 5 times a day. And we're just very, very thankful that both my eyes are still working, but my hands are still working, but my ears are still working. He may take the roof over my head. He may take the carpet, the blanket. But I've had a life of where I wasn't so grateful. I was more of just a carefree, tumbling weed, per se. Go where the direction takes you. And he provided for me even during those times. So now that I've taken a more active approach towards that game, how is he going to leave me alone now? Right? So he provided for the unthankful, for the carefree Azlaan. And here's a new Azlaan that's a bit more thankful, a bit more thoughtful. I'd like to think, but at least I make the intention of being thankful and whatnot. And in the back of my head, my faith gets stronger. Like, now I think I'm connecting with him a little bit more frequently, better. How could he possibly leave me alone in those times? But that just gives me more and more faith, more and more courage to make bigger moves that literally 6 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even when I first opened my office, like, yeah, there's no way I could spend this much on equipment right off the bat. So 5 years in now, running my own business, we have 2 offices, one here in Illinois, one in Dallas, and things are just starting to take off. And then the new fear is starting to come in again. Like, oh, what if the new office fails? What if this happens? But this time it's like, hey, those two beings, the one who's courageous and the one who's afraid, are within me. Which one am I going to decide to feed?
Which one you're listening to, right?
Right.
So
So,
look, I mean, Aslan, I feel like I pulled the string and zzz, it was awesome, man. Thank
yeah.
you so much. I think, the background, the uncertainty of coming to a new country, the 5 years of having to wait to really feel kind of like, all right, I'm here. I'm in the United States. I'm part of the people, right? And that's the beauty. I mean, I was born here. My mom came from Colombia, and she came from a family of entrepreneurs. She wasn't an entrepreneur and never became one. But I remember going to Colombia and then coming back and just wondering to myself, man, like, how's that lifestyle? Both my parents here were just, common workers, iron worker and a clerk at a city college. And so I could really just see kind of that fire in you. Sounds like, I mean, you've taken those soft skills and really just perpetuated it, over and over and over, and have that thirst and that, thirst for knowledge, right? So let's get into the business side. When you think about, you just talked about, and I've had some interviews that talk about their faith, which is awesome, because I think, there's such a foundation there, and especially how you've said gratitude, and just thanking, and then being able to go do the work. I learned a long time ago from a mentor of mine that I had, and said, do the work like it depends on you, have faith like it depends on God, right? But do the work, right? Just because you lay down, it's not just going to come to you, right? So let's get into some of the operations, right? Advanced sports and wellness therapies, the mind and the things that you do with cupping and all these things. So give us a little bit of a taste of what is your day to day, and then we'll get into marketing, we'll get into scaling and some other operations, and we'll end the interview there. But what right now is your day to day to really, operate your business?
All right. So, we've, again, thank God we've built a good enough reputation where I don't have to sit in the office unless I have an appointment. I try to, when there's work to be done, but I try to spend more time home instead now, chatting with family and, talking to them. But once I get to the office, it's just taking count, inventory. Do I have all the supplies that I need to, to do my treatments? The people that are coming in today, I go through their history. Even if I have it written down, I will still ask them again, hey, has anything changed? Is there anything in these files that maybe you didn't remember last time? Or maybe I'm not going over. So we'll go through, during this time now, as things are starting to slow down for the holidays, I get maybe 2 to 3 appointments a day. And we, again, really don't stick to one. And I think that's one of the things that really differentiates my clinic, that's advanced sports therapy, from other clinics around, or even other practitioners around, is we never really stick to the same treatment type if it's
Mm.
not the right type for that person. If I think me talking to you is going to help you a little bit more today, I'll talk to you for a little bit longer. I'll put your mind at ease first, because that's where it starts. They need to be able to trust you continuously. Once you've earned that trust, that you can very easily lose it, right? So I make sure that that is still there, that they're still open with me, the communication is kept open, that line stays open. So we'll work on our patients, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes it goes over if they need it, And again, very thankful that my patients and the type of people that come see me understand that, so they don't mind waiting a little bit longer. And we literally have an open layout clinic. So we do have curtains for privacy when we're treating people, but for the most part, people can see each other. They can see each other's reactions when they're able to do things a little bit better, as opposed to when they walked in. So it's a very, very family-like practice. So much so that, I'd gone into, when I was opening my office, I'd gone into a flooring showroom and I said, what are families in Naperville buying for their homes? And the floor that this guy pointed to, I bought that floor.
Mm.
And he's like, why is this for your home? I'm like, no, this is for my office. And he's like, but why did you ask that home question? So because I really want people to feel like they've walked into an extension of their home. So, just doing everything we can to put their minds at ease, to put their hearts at ease, treat them, you know. So 2 to 3 patients a day now. And then again, I still clean my own office every day. I enjoy doing it. It tells me how many cups I went through. So it was a productive day. Running your batch reports at the end of the day. And, sanitizing on all of that stuff. I still do it by hand. We have a cleaning service that my partner uses for his side of the practice, but I'm like, I'm a little bit more of a control freak. So I still do my own chores at the office. I do my own inventory. I do my own stocking. Yeah. And I'm not going to the Sam's or the Costco's of the world anymore to pick up water. I think I've earned that luxury to have that brought into me. But other than that, it's very hands-on, from cleaning the office to changing light bulbs if one goes out, and then treating patients. And because they need to be able to see that, I live the life that I'm preaching. We want to get my patients out of pain because they are just looking to do life. Some of them want to be elite athletes, and that's great. But most of them are just looking to do life, and they want to do life pain-free.
Yeah.
So if I can't do half of the stuff, and that'll never be, can I change the water bottle? Can I pick up a case of water by myself? Yeah, sure, I'm only 40. But that's where it starts. You got to be humble. Like, hey, I'll see you. They see me, I guess there are some practitioners out there that maybe like, I don't know if I want my patients to see me moving stuff, like out of the car, and, I don't mind. It's just life. So that's my day-to-day. It's like, I just try to relate to every single one, patient or not, even if it's a patient on the other side and they're bored while waiting for their appointment, I'll go give them company. And the good enough that the other partner that I have, a referral partner, so he's not an operating partner, he's a referral partner. He trusts me enough to put his patients at ease also. So that's kind of our day-to-day operation. Help people, help yourself, and just keep doing what works.
I love it. And that kind of almost ties right into the way that you market your business, right? I know over social media, I've recently seen some pretty cool videos in a stadium, and you having your table and everything, which is one way of marketing. But really, I mean, the way that you're marketing is being connected, being present every time that client comes. That word of mouth is just, I'm sure, incredible, and grown a great practice. So let's also talk, I guess, a little bit more of the traditional marketing. What do you do? Obviously you have the Facebook, you have website. What are some traditional things that you do to, keep that side of the business still flowing, even with some new customers?
Yeah. So, if it's about sharing knowledge, one of the things that I will tell all new businesses, especially younger businesses, you may already have a better system than what exists. Don't be afraid to leverage it. Because we've tried everything. We did Yelp marketing. That's a big no-no from us. We tried, obviously, mail marketing. Again, a big no-no. We did door-to-door marketing, door hangers and whatnot. This is during the early days. And we even tried dropping prices, getting an intro rate out there, trying to create a hook system, as they say. And none of that paid off. All that money, I just call it as a spent on a learning experience. We tried this thing called a funnel system. The funnels, again, we've seen them work for some of the colleagues that we have in the profession, but those systems make sense if you have certain other systems in place. So give yourself a check over, give yourself a look over. If you don't have these systems, those other systems may not necessarily be right for you. So I learned that funnels weren't for me. And I kept checking it with my peers, with colleagues, and with people who had successful businesses. And when they looked at the type of cupping that I do and the type of therapies that I do, like, what you do really doesn't exist. So you really just need to be focused in education. So all the content that you create should really be around, there should be a little bit of appeal in it, obviously, but it should always go back to your specialties. So, my first year, almost 2 years, I let Google kind of just run in the background. It's like, yeah, I'll spend money on a newspaper or like a magazine ad, or I'll go rent a booth somewhere and I'll give away treatments for free. And sure enough, those people never come to you, you know,
Mm.
because you've devalued yourself. Like, this guy must not be busy because he's standing here at this free event, right? When I really need to be standing somewhere on a stage, getting paid to talk about what I do, right? So I tried that 2 times, 3 times. Like, okay, I'm brand new. It's okay, I'm humble, but learned very, very quickly that that wasn't the way to go. And if people were looking for me, they needed to be able to find me. And then the reviews, customer reviews, were our biggest drivers of new acquisitions.
Mm.
So I just started texting people that I had worked on, like, hey, this is Azlaan. I worked on you a year ago. I don't know if you remember. I'm trying to grow my business. It'd be really helpful to me if you could leave me a quick little review on Google. I didn't take it any further. Give me a review on Google and Facebook and Yelp, and that, just one thing, just drive that home. And we took I had maybe 2 just 5-star reviews, no wording, nothing on Google.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take you forever to find my practice on Google, even if you punched it by name,
Mm.
right? So the website obviously had to be refined a little bit, had to look spiffy. We put some video content in there, more of a promo video, as you could call it. And then now I've started adding educational videos. Once my review number hit 35, because the second highest number was 33, Google automatically started pushing my website to the top.
Mm.
So now when people Googled sports therapy near me, advanced sports therapy was showing up as the #1 organic listing. So that time I understood that it was all about the number of reviews and your rating. So I made sure that the rating stayed solid, didn't let anybody walk away pissed off or unsatisfied. Like I said, we would, not charge people. Sometimes we had charged people, and even if they called back, like, the pain's back and it's really sharp, and I don't think it was for me. No questions asked. We'd get on the credit card terminal and just refund the transaction.
Wow.
And those people just, they wouldn't necessarily leave you a review, but at least they wouldn't leave you a bad one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they saw that our desire to help was genuine. We couldn't help. Here's the money. Maybe you can find help elsewhere. So we started doing that. Once the reviews shot past 100, that was game changer. The phone after that, the phone started ringing. Like, everybody would literally say, hey, I threw my back out, or I'm a baseball player, or I play tennis and my back's been hurting, and you guys are really highly rated on Google.
Mm-hmm.
When can we come see you? I'm like, well, okay. And then, obviously you have a little conversation with them. But once I figured that out, I stopped all other marketing avenues, stopped Facebook campaigns, Instagram campaigns for advertising. Now I'll run a campaign, but it'll mostly be for education. There will be
Wow.
no booking links in there in the actual post. It'll just be an educational post.
Hmm.
And or I'll say, hey, if this is something you want to learn more about, click here. But more, again, just informational campaigns. Google has been our #1 driver, and Yelp will call small business owners, inexperienced business owners, and so people on Yelp are ready to spend money. No, they're not. People are ready to spend money when they see something they like.
Exactly. No,
Right?
what an incredible experience, right? I mean, you've really defined for that small business owner what it really takes, and you tried many different things. You found kind of that one, silver bullet. Um, one thing that does come to mind, obviously my background is financial and banking and all that stuff, and in the lending world, they always say, hey, as a company, if you're over leveraged in the clientele, meaning like 1 or 2 clients is over leveraged on your receivables, it could be a little bit dangerous, right? I guess one thing that comes to mind for me, if Google were to change their algorithms or something like that, what are some fail safe things that you also have, or are you kind of just so all in that you have that faith that that'll be the chance, the thing that kind of grows you?
Right. Well, if Google decides to change, I'm sure the world will present a solution also.
Hmm.
So when the world gives you a problem, it gives you a solution. Again, there's, like I always say, it's really become one of the most common things I say about that. There's a lesson in it somewhere. So right now, yeah, Google's all in, but I keep working on my educational content. refining. So when we do put a video out, we try to make sure that it looks super snazzy, but super brief. And we like to have fun when we make these videos. You know, that one video you mentioned in front of the Ford Stadium, literally I had to wake up at 5 o'clock that day, and pack up my car, get my table set up, because I knew it was going to rain at 6:30.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I had a very short window to shoot that. And obviously when you're shooting, there's plenty of mistakes. So you have to do multiple takes, and then you have to take little clips from those takes. So here I am, 5:15, I was on venue carrying my table over. And to my surprise, there were athletes there that were running, and they were almost done with their workouts. So that again was like, oh, there are people who wake up this early and get stuff done. Right.
Sure.
And a couple of them were like, oh, are you here for one of us? I'm like, did you call? Was it you who called? And they were like, no, it wasn't me who called. And obviously it's not you. It's got to be someone else. So totally turn it into like, yeah, I am here for someone. I'll treat, you have to be ready. When you're presented with an opportunity, you have to be ready, right? Can't say, oh, let me get back to you and whatnot. You got to be ready. So I set that up, started taking, video and stuff like that, and met those athletes. And they were like, oh, is this what you do? Are you a commercial guy? I'm like, no, it's my business. I'm just trying to make a nice little video. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, why? Do you have any problems? Do you have any issues? They're like, not right now, but I'm normally sore after work. And so I got their information and got 3 clients just from doing a video shoot.
Wow.
So putting yourself out there really is key, right? Don't be afraid to shake those virtual hands, or real hands for that matter. If your health is good, not worried, go shake a hand. And if they're open to shaking hands, be there. If they want to shake your hand on a call like this, be there, be ready, be willing, learn, and continue to grow. That's it.
I love it. What a journey you've had. I mean, I hope everybody's really just going to digest some of the parts that you really kind of broke down. I love the way that you started with the voyage of coming over from another country, your faith that you expressed, and understanding kind of what it took to really develop your muscle of becoming an entrepreneur. So it seems like you've really put the efforts in and continue to grow, right? So one of the things that we do to end our interviews here, Azlaan, is we talk about the CEO, right? So as an entrepreneur, there's really 3 criteria that I feel like I've done my own research and have had my own small businesses. And I think about client experience, employee engagement, and operational excellence. I know we didn't get into the employee side, right? Do you have any employees right now working for you, or just the partner, kind of the referral partner that you have?
A referral partner, and then occasionally we'll bring in contractors.
Okay, so contract. So just to end the interview here and kind of scale it down, client experience, and you did give such a great background of it, but what would you say is just that value proposition? If you end it with, hey, look, advanced sports therapies, this is what we do to give a great client experience.
Oh, man. That's a tough one. And I always come down, we essentially guarantee your satisfaction or your money back. We treat the service like a product. Yeah, but for that customer experience, I think customer experience, when you ask that question, it actually goes beyond what you're doing with them and how they perceive the space and the person that they're dealing with. One small thing that made a huge difference during the early stages, and to this day does, was switching out the complimentary water that we have at the office. Such a small thing. Obviously when you're a business, you're trying to cut down on your overhead and your expenses. You start with that bulk water company, or you start, with a non-branded. We saw the amount of water being wasted. People would literally take 2 sips, and there'd be water bottles all over our office between myself and the referral partner. So we switched to a premium water. We looked at it and we're like, it's $1 per bottle per client. Great. And if that client happens to bring his family with him and they all want to drink that water, what a great compliment. They want to drink the water that you're providing them. Right? So fine, $6, but the nobody was wasting this water. Everybody felt good holding these bottles in their hands, and the water tasted good to their palates. And it literally became like these patients would tell us when they would go home, their kids would know, oh, you went to go see Azlaan, just because they were holding water that these people normally wouldn't even buy for themselves, right? They know it's good, but they don't go out of their way to buy it. They'll buy whatever, but we go out of our way to provide that experience for our customers. Have a little piece of dark chocolate for your office visits. So I go out of my way sourcing these things sometimes. I guess you could say that's probably the I don't know how to put it elegantly, but we will go out of our way to make sure that the client's happy and satisfied.
That's the perfect way, brother. So
Yeah.
great to know that. And as we end the interview, I mean, you just left a taste in my mouth to wonder, like, what is he talking about? Fiji or just like, what is he talking about? So
It's Evian, always Evian.
yeah, so awesome. So shameless plug for them, I guess, right? Too. So employee engagement, obviously, you've got two locations, you're one man. Um, with your partner that is a referral partner, let's at least talk about that when we think about employee engagement in a sense of what's keeping you guys together. Why does he want to keep continuing to refer business to each other? What's one dynamic that you could share?
Process of edification.
Okay.
Edify your fellow human, especially once you know that they are good at what they do, edify them. I wouldn't even say, don't be afraid to edify someone else. No, just simply edify them. If you're there, edify them, and it will find its way back to you. So I keep edifying him. He keeps getting new referrals, and vice versa, right? So if he gets a new patient, we were so. I've always been good at that. I would say because of my multi-level marketing experience, because you edify your coaches, right? That's how they recruit people. And MLM may get a bad name, but man, does it give you thick skin, right?
Fantastic. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
It's another great type of business out there,
Yeah.
and great leverage too. So, last
Well,
one is
I always edified the doctor, and then the doctor had trouble doing that at first, like how to do it properly. He was like, "Oh, you should really go see Azlaan," and he does this one thing. I'm like, "Doc, you need to learn what I do. I can't say one thing." So I just offered the service to him. I'm like, "Hey, whenever you're hurting, when you're overworked, and you see patients and you're hunched over, he's a chiropractor. He's adjusting people sometimes that are way bigger than he is. Sometimes even way smaller is a problem because now you have to scrunch yourself. So I just offered him the services. I'm like, hey, feel this. Here, tell me what kind of value do you see, and just present that to your patients. You don't have to feel uncomfortable talking about it. Explain it in your own words. I gave him the freedom and the liberty to be able to take it and run with it. Once I did that, he saw how mutually beneficial the referral partnership was without getting too tangled into financial partnerships or business partnerships. We run essentially two separate businesses in one office space. And that's, I think we're actually very proud of that. We call it a hybrid, like a hybrid partnership. I think in the future, you'll see more of that. More gyms partnering with healthcare providers, because gyms, you're going to pull a muscle, you're not feeling warmed up or whatever, and there's nobody there to guide you, right? It's just a sales team. Oh, you need a trainer. There's no genuine desire to help again. It's all money based. So
yeah.
I think the hybrid referral program or hybrid partnerships will really start to come in a lot more. And that fact we're actually very, very proud of. We help each other a lot with our shooting. I'll work on him. He'll work on me. And as far as employee engagement goes, our contractors, we still hold even our contractors to a very, very strict standard. Sometimes even if the need is there, I will turn down appointments if the contractors are not up to standard. I would say, hey, we just can't accommodate you. I'm sorry. I'd rather see you on a Sunday as opposed to giving you a crappy service on a Friday.
Sure.
So I'll come in into the office on a Sunday sometimes and work on people. Yep.
I love it. And last one is operational excellence. When you think about just kind of the systems that you put in, the practice that you have, any just one clue that you could leave with the community of how you operate at an excellent level.
Right. So Systems, when it comes to systems, again, because of the work that I do, the systems were non-existent. So I just simply asked the next person, which was again somebody who has a system in place, what kind of system do you use? Looked at their systems to see if they were editable or modifiable, or were they modular? Could you take out, blocks of them and apply them? And it just came down to, for our profession, uh, assessments. So I guess that could be universal in a way. No matter, when you go talk to somebody who needs financial assistance, you first have to assess their needs, right? So the better the assessment, the better your solution can be,
Yeah,
right? So
for
it's
sure.
simple. I mean, that became in a way, it's a vocal system, and I'm just trying to simplify it now at this current stage so that it is easy to duplicate even by a novice. So we're putting it down on paper. Make sure you ask these questions, go over them, and continue to ask questions throughout the treatment. Hey, because sometimes you poke something and they'll say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've heard this," or same way like you. I remember I invested in these stocks. Is that still a good stock today? So it comes to you later sometimes. So be open to receive that knowledge that they're willing to share with you. We have a joke in our office where say, "Oh yeah, there are some patients who have all their information, and then there are some who like to divulge it in installments." So you gotta love it either way, as long as you can get a genuine smile out of them at the end of the day. You've done your best, right? And you send them off with prayers. You pray for them, whether out in the open or within your heart, and say, "I did my best. God, can you make sure that my best carries a little bit further? You know,
Wow.
keep my respect upheld. Don't let that falter." So
Yeah.
that's what I end every treatment with, and I think that is my personal way of sticking to. Nobody should be able to drag my name down. That's the one thing I do have control of, is my reputation,
For
right?
sure.
And my emotions, obviously. So check my emotions with God. I'm like, "Thank you for letting me work on this person. Thank you for letting me talk to him." And I can see that he feels a little bit better. So keep it coming. And, I'll try to be more thankful and stuff like that. So that's our operation code: is assess, treat, pray.
I love it. I love it. I've got a acronym. I say assess. So AOA, assess, organize, attack. But I've got to add more prayer to it too. So,
Yeah.
but awesome,
Well, that
brother,
would be
man. Hey,
ASAP, right? That would
what's
just
that?
become ASAP. That would just become, you said assess,
Assess, organize, attack. So it's
AOA.
AOA. Yeah. So,
You
but
know, that's a acronym for Assalamu alaikum.
oh, really? Okay.
So when we abbreviate, we write AOA. That's
Oh,
that's a
nice.
good one. Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
one.
All right. Hey, man, there's, cultural connections of so many ways as human beings is really cool, man. That always appreciated kind of learning and all those types of things. And that's one of the reasons that I felt like this channel could bring a lot of value with that small business owner, startup to 25 million and community. Hope that you'll smash that like button, become a subscriber and learn from a guy like Azlaan and Advanced Sports Therapies. He's in Naperville, Illinois. And then where in Texas are you?
We're currently in Frisco.
Frisco. Oh, wow. That place is booming. What a great city. I've heard a lot of good things about it. So, Aslan, share with everybody just your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your actual website, and just the best way to communicate with you, as we'll put those things in the description, once we upload the video.
Sure, it's the same name everywhere. Whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, it's Advanced Sports Therapy. That's advanced with no D at the end. A lot of people get that one wrong.
Mhm.
So Advanced Sports Therapy, on Instagram, on Facebook. But today those two are connected, so it doesn't matter. If you do one, I'll get it on both. And obviously your telephone number, website, you can fill out an inquiry form. But you can simply shoot the business line a text if that's what people are comfortable with and if they have questions. We Most of our people will connect through Instagram today, because the average age of the client is the Instagram age. It's that instant edification age. They want to reply right away, which we try to do. If I have the ability, why not?
Yeah. What's that number that you said they could text?
So 630-708-8778.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, thanks again, obviously, for joining the Go for CEO community. One of the things that we'll do is in the next 6 to 12 months is follow up with you. We want to chronicle the journey of advanced sports therapies and just see kind of what you've done, right? The Frisco location, the Naperville location, and just kind of see how you're growing and maybe go into different areas that we didn't go through today. But we're very thankful. Appreciate your words of just wisdom, entrepreneurship and all the things that you shared today. So thanks so much, Aslan.
It was an honor.